Good morning. We're live from the HCCTV studios on this Monday morning. I'm Todd Duplantis, and you're watching Up to the Minute. Glad to have you with us to kick off this week. Good to have you here. And Frank Cooper, my co-host, joining me this morning from his home studio. Good to see you, Frank.
Happy Monday, boss man. Happy Monday. How you doing?
It's a Monday. I don't know about a happy Monday, but it's a Monday. I'm doing good, though. Want to thank everyone joining us. We were off for a few days last week. If you missed us Thursday and Friday, glad to have you with us today. We're usually here every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. when HCC is in session. Now, this Thursday, we're not going to have a show. We'll talk more about that later on. But Frank, they can also catch us in social media on HCCTV.
Absolutely. So right now we're streaming live on Facebook, Houston Community College District. You can find us on there. Also YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, search Houston Community College, Up to the Minute. We stream our episodes every Monday through Friday, except for holidays and things of that nature. So we're also on LinkedIn and Twitter too. So let's grow the show.
And we're on HCCTV at noon, 10 p.m. as well, right?
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely. Okay, Frank, stick around because you'll be interviewing this next guest. She is a Real Journey campaign ambassador. Adelaida Zyla is joining us. She goes by Adela. Good to see you with us, Adela. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Frank, for having me. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing this morning?
We're good. We're looking forward to hearing about your journey. So stick around. We're going to be with you in about 10 minutes.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. We're going to kick things off. It is a Monday, Mental Health Monday to be exact. And this morning we welcome back Dr. K, Dr. Quinella Minix, known as Dr. K. Dr. K, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Great to be back, Todd.
We want to talk this morning about a very sensitive subject. However, you do hear about it in the news a lot. Mental illness amongst athletes and particularly suicide rates.
Yes, it is. It's and then it's happening more than we expected. You know, just in April, we had 3 women up in the Michigan, I think it was the Michigan area, that committed suicide. It was 3 college athletes, and they were back to back in April. There was actually 5 athletes that committed suicide in the month, end of April, beginning of May.
Are you finding correlations? I know still a lot of information to learn about these, but are you finding correlations? Maybe is it depression, history of mental illness? And you also hear about concussions leading to this. Is that a case in these athletes as well?
I think with these athletes, it's a combination. It's the pressure, it's social media. It's the pressures are very different than what it was a decade ago to be an athlete. And the social pressures are probably the greatest of all. And it's increasing, exacerbating some of the mental health issues that exist.
If you intervene early enough, and I know it's 2020 is always hindsight, you know, and you were looking back and saying, oh, could we have done this? But realistically, could an intervention maybe have helped in some of these cases from your own speculation?
I think, you know, actually, I do think something can be done to help. I think right now we can all do something to help these athletes. Looking back, it's being able to let them know that they're not alone, being more supportive, and actually being kinder on social media. That's a huge thing. And just being kinder, that it's really exacerbating a lot what's going on in these athletes. I see.
You know, I don't know about you if you've seen in social media, but you bring up an interesting point because there are people that I know that you meet them in person. They're a very pleasant individual, you know, very soft spoken. But if you look at their social media, they type in all caps. They've got horrible things to say about it. You have almost this double personality. Is that created with social media where it's easier to bully someone when you're doing it behind a computer as opposed to when you're looking them eye to eye or face to face?
Oh, definitely. Cyber bullying is probably the largest thing that we have going on in our society now. I mean, it's easy to go and create a fake account and bully. We have parents doing this to some of these athletes. And so, yes, it's there. And it's difficult as an athlete to hear all of that over and over and over. You know, we're all human. We just, you know, they're human.
Well, that's true. And you also hear about a lot of professional athletes who particularly say, you know what, I stay off of social media, especially during the season, because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I'm not going to let it, because obviously if you're reading something, it could very well affect your performance and your lifestyle.
And it can. And I encourage athletes, I do performance coaching with them. I encourage them to not get on social media, specifically before and after the game. You know, it's quite brutal. If you really take a look, I challenge everybody just to take a look at social media and just read through the comments. And then you tell me if it seems kind. Most times it's not. Yeah.
And P, I guess if you're a fan, well, you need to sound off. You need to let them know exactly how you feel. But I mean, these are real people as well. I mean, it does affect everyone. You've started something with a nonprofit group, PsyFit organization. Tell us what that is and how it works.
So PsyFit organization started off because a lot of athletes came to me and they needed counseling. They did not have insurance. So what I did was I started doing free counseling and realized there's a need. You know, they didn't want to go back through player association and those things to disclose information. So they get 10 free counseling sessions a year they can apply for. And also we're doing a big campaign to raise money to build a brain health center for them.
And tell us about, do you have events that are fundraisers, and how do you do that?
Yes, we also, concussions is a part of the brain health. And so we have an annual fundraiser. As a matter of fact, it's this Friday. How timely. It's this Friday at the Post Oak. And it's a jeans and jersey. It's fun. And it symbolizes what athletes wear, you know, on a daily basis and what fans wear to the game. So we wanted it to be fun and exciting and engaging. And so it's at the Post Oak. And we raise money so that we can provide those services and help people with concussions and any kind of brain health issues, depression, mental health. I'm sorry.
Do you also work with athletes who are retired from competing professionally or on an amateur basis?
Yes, we work with high school professional athletes, retired professional athletes, college athletes. I have athletes across the U.S. that call to get the help, and we find therapists in their area that can help them.
One of the things I've always wondered, in no shape or form was I ever a professional athlete, but there was a time where I did Ironman competitions, and they were very grueling. You spend a lot of hours training. I work a full-time job and would train as well. But when I got out of it, I'm like, I'm done. That's too hard on my body. I don't want to do it anymore. But I would imagine, though, athletes, when you're dedicated to this, do you think it's going to go on forever? And then once you can't do it anymore, is there, obviously it brings on depression. Is that one of the common things?
Oh, definitely. It's no different than getting out of the military. You're high performing. I mean, it's like a high performance job and you walk away and then it's like all the lights are off, but it's not just about the lights. It's the relationships and it's everything included in between. And so, yes, it's a huge transition from playing ball to not playing anymore. So to have a transition and helping them transition out just mentally.
Are there other ways in that you can use that energy and that drive in other parts of your life? If you can't run anymore, you can't bike anymore, you can't play at that level, but can you use it for something else, maybe physical or mental, to stimulate you?
Oh, definitely. A lot of professional athletes, after they actually get into yoga. Yoga is a huge help, and it helps them mentally, physically, actually volunteering and helping other athletes. And these young athletes, they need it, the mentorship. So getting out there and still being active and doing some things mentally and doing presentations and speaking engagements is helpful too.
You mentioned at the top of this interview, we talked about a number of female athletes who had committed suicide. Are there statistics that it's more males or more females that are unfortunately, tragically committing suicide, or is it across the board with the numbers? Are they even?
I would say across the board. It's just that we're hearing more about females now. It's across the board, depending on what data you're actually looking at. But I would say all athletes, it's across the board. You know, it's just that I think it's just troubling to see so many of our athletes committing suicide. That's the hardest thing for me to see.
And you were also mentioning too earlier that, you deal with athletes who may be in high school who are having to retire because maybe they injured themselves. They can't do it in college. I imagine that's pretty common as well.
It is, you hear these athletes and they have one young man that I'm helping now. He doesn't know why, but he has partial paralysis or temporary paralysis sometimes. And he played football. He was very good at it, and it's not necessarily that it's just football, but that's what his sport was. And, it's difficult. It's a difficult transition for a high school kid that's 17 years old going through this.
Yeah. And, thinking of that, I mean, it affects their ongoing life. I mean, they were probably depending on a scholarship to get them into college. All that changes. All of that's off the table and they need to rethink things. I mean, that's got to be overwhelming for a 17-year-old.
So we help them, to actually provide the mental and let them know that they can still do other things. There's still other things that they can do. And there has to be more than playing the sport. Yeah. And so to teach them that, hey, you're more than just an athlete.
Absolutely. Dr. K, we appreciate you being here. You are an elite performance coach, psychotherapist, and our Mental Health Monday guest. We'll have information on how to reach you in our social media post after the show. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. K. Okay, we are going to hand things over to Frank Cooper. And Frank, you've got a very special guest because we started working with the HCC's International Student Services on a campaign called Real Journeys. Maybe you can introduce us to the next ambassador.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for those who don't know, our International Student Department is one of the most robust departments in the nation. We have one of the largest international student populations in all of the community college systems across the nation. So I would be remiss to mention that first, but Adelaida Zyla, former HCC international student and international Real Journey ambassador. How you doing, Ms. Zyla?
Doing great. Thank you for having me, Frank. Thank you again.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're here to represent the HCC International Student Program, but you are also a shining star from our honors college as well. So I don't want to forget to mention that. But first, tell us about your journey about coming to the U.S.
Yes, so I actually moved to the U.S. in 2016, and I enrolled at HCC. I started my ESL classes, just like most international students do, just to practice. I had a very thick accent, which was okay for me at the time, but still a little hard to fit in. I started my classes, and then eventually that's when I was introduced to honors college as well, after I finished those classes and got my GPA first.
How was your experience at the HCC's Honors College in Phi Theta Kappa? I'm saying that right?
Yes, it was amazing. It was definitely, I know that sounds a little cliche, but it was definitely life-changing. I've had some connections, being my friends, being peers, also the advisors there, and also the director at that time, which was David Wilcox. He was always a mentor to us, and we were many students. So imagine we all had our stories, our journeys. They're always there. Also, Dr. Cheryl Peters, she was, and she still is, one of the sweetest people and one of the most helpful for us at the time. They would inform us for scholarships. They would inform us how to succeed in classes and so many other things that we did need quite a lot at the time.
I know for a student, it can be very difficult to find funding for school. What kind of scholarships were you able to obtain?
That is a great question. Being an international student, the expectancy is obviously having a sponsor, having somebody that will support you at all times. However, there are many students that come to US with a big desire of wanting to succeed, wanting to get the education, but not having the financial funding. If I'm being fully honest, I came here with $240, which I borrowed from my sister. And my aunt's family was very, very helpful to take me in. For 2 years, I lived with them. And however, I did have to start working at the bookstore to get my Social Security, was introduced at the whole Social Security process and all of that. To answer your question, I got great help from Honors College. They had the scholarship available at that time, which was the International Student Scholarship. And they also have the Barnes Noble Scholarship, which takes care of all of the books for you. Obviously, Honors College has its own requirements, which you have to have a GPA, which was also beneficial to me because I was doing well and getting rewards for it by getting scholarships and getting a lot of help to cover my tuition.
What were your initial thoughts to come to a new country, not knowing the language barriers, the cultural barriers, with $200 in your pocket? What was your initial thoughts when you first landed to this country? 'Cause that's very challenging. I know that could be scary, huh?
It was very scary. It was very scary. Also because growing up, it was just the way I guess I grew up. The mentality I wanted to be independent. So no matter what, even though I love my country, there's great people there, great opportunities. I did want to study abroad, and I'm not gonna lie, it was very hard. There were times where I was crying. There was times I was very grateful. There were times that the phone was just not enough to communicate, even with my family. I just needed like something physical, a hug. But besides that, it's very rewarding. If I'm speaking my mind, I wouldn't change a single thing. Even those hard moments, they definitely made me more resilient, I would say.
So you go through HCC, you kick butt, you get your degree, you go to U of H. What happened after that?
So I graduated HCC with high honors. I graduated honors college. I believe I stayed another semester because I had a few classes to take. I transferred to University of Houston, which was also a great journey. I studied corporate communications with a minor in marketing, and also did a sales certificate as well from the Steven Stagner sales program. And I already finished. I graduated with summa cum laude in 2021, May 2021. And now I'm looking forward to starting a new position, inside sales account manager with HBE.
And so I guess my question for you is what advice you have for not just international students, but just students in general, about getting a degree and making something of yourself for the future?
Yes. I'm going to borrow this from my cousin. She told me at the time, even when we would be driving, she would tell me, just look around and see what can I gain from this. Being what can I gain is in if I apply myself to it. So if you see, I don't know, a sign in the street that says something, even if it's like a HCC or even a HCC campus, you see a sign, don't just pass by it, right? Just stop for a second, take a second. That might be a scholarship opportunity. That first. Second, I would say definitely networking. Coming to this new country, we have to build our own new network. Besides, if you have family, if you have people that you knew already, that's even better. But for people that don't, it's very important to network. You never know what the person that you're speaking to can bring to the table, and also can help you, but you can also help back. I love the saying here, paid it forward, right? It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to accept help. I know a lot of students, including me, we have this pride thing that, it's like, oh, I can do it myself. And, I'd rather find a way, but sometimes it's okay to just accept the help and, take it from there. I would say also be resilient and look at the bigger picture, because there will always be rewards.
I don't think you understand how critical and awesome that is that you learned that at such a young age about it's okay to get help. It's okay to have people open doors for you. I'm 37. It took me to my 30s to realize that, and so that's awesome that you recognize that at this stage of your life. I have one last question. So I know in March 2020 the world pretty much shut down, right? So what was your personal experiences, and how did you navigate through everything that was going on globally while trying to get your degree as well and being away from your family?
That was my last semester as well. It was very different because we were shifting from face-to-face classes to online, and you had to have a lot of motivation to do it, right? I had all this journey that I was almost there, almost at the finish line, and that felt like the longest part. However, I think that time, I can speak for myself and some of the people around me. I think a lot of that time was I'll call it a reflecting time. I love that we were speaking for mental health. It's Monday, and I feel like it's very important. So I feel like I took that time definitely to do some healing and some reflecting with myself, and obviously try to. I remember I was, because obviously, like you said, the world shut down. A lot of places shut down. I was working at a restaurant at that time, and how can I apply, server skills online? I can't just, that would be great. But so I was applying. I remember I had my laptop even before going to bed. As soon as I wake up, I would apply everywhere, try to learn something new. So that's what I occupied myself. I was just applying for after graduation.
Adela, thank you so much for sharing your story today. We will have this interview in our post right after the show. Adela Zyla, former HCC international student and an international Real Journey ambassador. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. Thanks, Franks and Adela. We've got a couple of announcements we're going to go through. First off, book credits. What are they? Well, financial aid grants and loans are available and may be available to assist our students this summer in the form of a book credit for books and supplies. Students can use the summer 2022 book credit through August the 1st. We'll have the financial aid book credit information in our social media post after the show. And Frank, there's changes to FAFSA that all students need to be aware of.
The U.S. Department of Education will be making temporary changes to the federal student aid verification process for the 2022-23 award year. If you have questions regarding this change, reach out to financial aid. We have more about financial aid in the link in our post after the show.
Okay, Creative License, HCC's license plates are back. You can purchase one now. They're now available to order online. Very easy to do. And the sale of the license plates support our foundation, which supports our students through grants and, of course, scholarships, I should say. We'll have information how you can sign up for your own HCC license plate in our social media post after the show. And also, we've got summer classes beginning, Frank. In fact, they begin today, the first session of summer classes.
Absolutely, but registration is still open, though. So students who enroll in the summer classes can graduate faster and with less debt. And don't forget, there are even more super quick semester options coming up as well. HCC Financial Aid is also here to support them with several options. We'll have more information about that in our post after the show.
Okay, MBDA has a salute to businesses. In fact, they're doing this in person this year, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. this coming Thursday, June the 9th. It's going to be at the Junior League of Houston. Of course, the MBDA Business Center, operated by HCC, is presenting its annual Salute to Minorities in Construction to honor minority-owned construction firms and the advocates and organizations that support them. Join them this Thursday, Junior League of Houston, and we'll have a link on how to do that and register in our social media post. As I mentioned, Frank, we're not on the air Thursday.
No, because of an HCCTV special production, Up to the Minute will not air Thursday, but we'll be back on Friday, June 10th.
That's right. So no Up to the Minute on Thursday. I know it's confusing. It confuses me, but we'll get through it one way or another. Okay, summer classes, as we mentioned, they've begun. You can also register for the next session of summer classes and fall as well. Fall 2022, we have 5 ways to learn. 2 of them are completely online. 2 of them are hybrid, which means some online, some in person. And in-person classes, yep, they're happening across the district on our campuses, and you can join us in person. Now, keep in mind, if you are going to attend those in-person classes, they're a lot smaller. If you haven't been to one in a while, they're probably about half the size of what you're accustomed to. So the main thing is to sign up early. If we have a number of people signing up, we'll start another section, but you have to sign up. So now's the time to do so. Go to hccs.edu/apply for your registration needs. Tomorrow, Frank, is Tasty Tuesday.
We welcome the return of Liberty Kitchen, which is celebrating Rose Day tomorrow, June 7th, with a special dinner.
That's right. That is probably my favorite restaurant. Have you been there, Frank?
I have not. I heard good things about it, though.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, my favorite one. So we're looking forward to having them on the show. And we'll also congratulate Tamala Austin, director of HCC's Open for Business program. She's representing women entrepreneurs, and they've won the First Horizon Bank Back to Business campaign. So we'll hear all about that tomorrow on Up to the Minute. Frank, are you back this week? When are you on next?
I start vacation on Friday. I'll be in Waikiki, Hawaii, so I'll be gone for a few days.
Waikiki, Hawaii. All right. So Frank's going to go on vacation. All right, Frank, we're looking forward to hearing about that when you return then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll bring some pictures.
All right. We'll go bring the pictures back. Make sure you get to us. We want to see having fun. All right, Frank, enjoy your vacation. And we'll see all of you tomorrow live 10 a.m. right here for Up to the Minute.